from Americana to Zydeco, and everything in between. This is the Extended Play Sessions.
No fun, oh my baby, no fun. No fun, oh my baby, no fun. No fun to be alone, sleeping all by yourself. No fun to be alone in love with somebody else.
Well, I'm a Texas kid originally, and grew up in Dallas and San Antonio, and ended up in New Orleans when I was in high school. And when I got out, I had trouble finding a gig, and a friend of mine asked me to come play with this kind of southern rock, like biker rock group, and eventually we picked up Mr. Perkins over here, and John and I have kind of gelled like no other drummer that I've ever seen before or since. And when I left that band to go play for Brian Lee, shortly after, he came with me. And then a couple of years after that, we picked up Bill. And the way this actually got started was Brian got sick. And he was in the hospital, and he was on my deathly ill, double pneumonia. And we had a tour booked in Florida, and we hadn't worked in about a month, and we were all starving. And so I called the agent and said, man, just let us go out and do it as a three-piece, and we'll figure it out. And I hadn't sung in a band since I was 16, and we took 3 or 4 rehearsals and put a show together and went out, and everybody loved it. Every club we went into, they were like, wow, when can we have y'all back? And so we got excited. And eventually Bill left and went on to play for Alvin Youngblood Hart. And we hung on with Brian Lee for about 11 years, but we always kind of had this in the back of our minds. And last year the record company came to us and asked us to make them a record, and so we did. And now here we sit.
Just to interject real quick, we did, in the time I was with Alvin, we did do a handful of things on Bourbon Street for like a month here, a month there, and
we did
some other stuff. It didn't completely die out.
Yeah,
but
and if you
it's still percolating under the surface.
If you want a trial by fire, Bourbon Street's the place to do it. It's the most unforgiving crowd in the world. They are not shy about telling you how awful you are. It's there's nothing like a drunk tourist for honesty. It's a
I get a sinking feeling. No matter how I try, I'll never reach your price ring. Even if I did, you take it back from me. Tell me to build up a Cumberland dream, and out of the wreckage, I come out clean, yeah. Advice are getting hard to swallow. It's right today, it'll be wrong tomorrow. Trying to put it all together, but nothing's getting any better. You told me to build up a Cumberland dream, and out of the wreckage I come out clean. talk. Say it all comes down to resolve. Your trust fund and your credit line makes you always come out fine. You tell me to build up a crumbling dream. You're down to the records, come out clean. Yeah. Finally, when it all comes down, no one will find you hanging around. My influences are everybody from
Thanks,
playing
yeah.
with, like I said, we all played for a guy named Brian Lee out of New Orleans. Brian played with everybody. He played with Muddy Waters, played with Albert Collins, Albert King, Freddie King, all the legends, right? And so I kind of came up. My dad was a big rockabilly guy, lots of rockabilly, and some blues from the late '50s, early '60s or so, and then I got into Hendrix and Stevie Ray Vaughan and all those guys. And then it was Brian that kind of finished me off, and he was like, hey, you were on to something when you were learning the stuff from the 50s and 60s. You need to go back and learn that. And he never would let me tell him that I couldn't do something. He would always do, well, we're gonna do it, so you better learn how.
Music has always been in my family and my house. In the 50s, my dad was a rock star. He was in a band called the Crew Cuts. He had a
lead singer in the Crew Cuts.
A pretty big hit, a gold record with a version of Earth Angel, but he had a huge hit with Shaboom. Everybody in the world knows Shaboom.
Even Annie.
And so this this is the house that I grew up in. There's always been music, and he came to New Orleans, and that was after the band was done. Probably the band was done in '63 or '64, I guess. I don't know. And he started playing music and teaching music at the church, and he has been doing it every day for the last 60, 70 years. It's been a long time. So my father is a rock star.
He's in his 80s, and he looks like he's 30.
In the Crew Cuts, and they sang Shaboom.
And Earth Angel.
I've made my mistakes. You've made your share too. It's never been the kind of life we thought we were getting into. You're saying it's over. You've made up your mind. You want to leave ashes where there once was our life, but you don't have to set the world on fire. Set the world on fire. I'm so tired of fighting,
tired of pinning blame. It's always something I did, something you said, something we didn't work out all the way. It wasn't always so dark, it wasn't always this way. Don't have to light it up, just let it burn away. You don't have to set the world on fire. Set the world on fire. Know that I love you. Thank you. You know I always will. You know I do what you want, be what you need, give anything just to keep you here. But don't light the match to spark the flame. We burn through our memories, erase both our names. You don't have to set the world on fire. Set the world on fire. Thanks, y'all. Now you're saying it's over. You made up your mind. wanna leave ashes where there once was our light. You don't have to set the world on fire. Set the world on fire.
Mark your calendar. July 12th at the Main State Pier in Portland, Shipyard Brewing Company is putting on the party of the season, the Shipyard Summerfest. It's a free concert with a whole day of bands and food and fun. All thanks to these great folks. We'll wrap it all up the next day with the Old Port Half Marathon and 5K. Don't miss it. The Shipyard Summerfest, July 12th at the Main State Pier in Portland.
You know, when people come to see us, my whole thing is I want to make sure that we give them something they can't get anywhere else. You know, when I first started doing this professionally, there was another guitar player that named Papa Chubby from New York that told me something that I never forgot. And he said, you know, everybody in this business does this because they think they've got something special. And everybody that's in this business thinks that they're somebody, and they're. You know, he said, but at the end of the day, you have to ask yourself, what are people getting when they come to see me that they don't get anywhere else? And if you can't answer that, then you need to go home. And that was always my deal. Like I said, I was a punk rock kid. I was a rockabilly kid. You go real, right? The nights when I feel successful are the nights, like sometimes you'll look into somebody's eyes and you'll see like the connection. You know you've hit them somewhere, you know, and that's the stuff that you live for, because you just get chills up and down your back because you're like, wow, that stranger and I just had a moment, you know. Back to New Orleans, family and my friends. Long way back to New Orleans, my family and my friends. Never get back to New Orleans, I'm never gonna leave again. Illinois girls are friendly, the Tennessee whiskey's fine. The 6 weeks gone and 6 weeks too long, I do believe it's time. Run this thing back south to the Louisiana line. Long way back to New Orleans, family and my friends. Long way back to New Orleans, my family and my friends. Never get back to New Orleans, never gonna leave again. Don't care if it's 1,000 miles. Gets me back below sea level. I do it with a smile. Just get me home where I belong, and I'll be satisfied. Long way back to New Orleans, family and my friends. Long way back to New Orleans, family and my friends. Never get back to New Orleans, never gonna leave again.
All right, yeah. We are going to make way for Mr. Jimbo Mathis from the Tri-State Coalition. I hope y'all are looking forward to it as much as we are. One time, y'all give it up for Mr. Bill Block on the bass guitar over here. Mr. John Perkins back here behind me on the drums. Gotta thank Bill for having us out. We sure had a ball. Long way back to New Orleans, my family and my friends. Long way back to New Orleans, my family and my friends. Ever get back to New Orleans, never gonna leave. Thanks, yeah. You can't take yourself that seriously, right? So, and you also, you have to write yourself. I mean, there's it's something that I get in trouble with the blues crowd. Like, a lot of people want stuff really, really traditional, right? And I didn't, the culture that I grew up in is not the same culture that Muddy Waters grew up in. I don't know what it was like to be black in Mississippi in 1938. You know, I have no idea. My mind can't even conceive of what that would have been like. You know, so for me to sit down and go, oh, well, I'm going to write a traditional blues song, it feels phony to me. I'm like, you know, I'm going to write what I know. I'm going to write what I've experienced, what I've seen, what I've lived, you know, and hopefully it comes across. But hopefully it does. It's, we shall see. But no fun, no fun, oh my baby, but no fun, no fun to be alone, sleeping all by yourself, no fun to be alone, in love with somebody else. No fun, oh my baby, no fun, no fun, oh my baby, no fun, no fun to hang around, feeling that same old way, no fun to hang around, just freak out for another day. Oh, baby, go out. Oh, baby, stay home. Oh, baby, call your mother on the telephone. Oh, come on. Yeah. No fun, oh my baby, no fun, no fun, oh my baby, no fun, no fun to be alone, feeling all by yourself. No fun to be alone, in love with somebody else. Baby, come on. Baby, come on. Well, come on. They said, you make us the record you always wanted to make. So essentially, they said, pick a studio, pick your guys, go to work. So I had my rhythm section already, because it just doesn't get any better than those two guys. And we had Alvin Youngblood who's a Grammy winner, and an all-around badass that came in and joined us for 3 songs. Actually, it was only had him slated for 2, and he had so much fun that we did 3. And
he blew up an amp.
He did blow up an amp.
Cool.
It was beautiful. Sonny Landreth is on it. Sonny is one of my all-time heroes. Sonny is just amazing. So not only is it our record, but it's our record made with some people, some musicians that we all look up to, and it was a chance for all of us to get to work with some heroes, and did it in one of the best studios in New Orleans, at the Music Shed.
A Grammy-winning studio.
A Grammy-winning studio, yeah. As a matter of fact,
Grammy-winning
Trombone Shorty was the next band coming in after us. Dr. John had just recorded there just before us.
Rebirth won their Grammy there.
Yeah,
I think
Rebirth
Dr.
did.
John got his Grammy out of that one.
So the music is it's based in the blues, because everything I do is based in the blues, but it's our spin on it. It's got our energy in it, and it's. I promise you that you're not going to hear another record that sounds quite like it for a while.